everyone, it's Carolyn here, and I'm popping in today to share a super cool technique using the new Magical Mandala Dynamics from the February release. It's called the Faux Ceramic Tile Technique, and I think you're really going to love it. In addition to the Magical Mandala Dynamics, I'm also using the Inside and Out Stitched Square Dynamics, the A2 Rectangle Stacks Dynamics, and the Hello There Dynamics. I'll also be using Smooth White, Daffodil, and Black Licorice cardstock. And since this is a masking technique, I'll be using the Express-It Low-Tack masking material. I'm starting off with 5 3-inch squares of smooth white cardstock. I've already adhered some double-sided adhesive sheets to the back of each square. I've peeled back the release paper from the adhesive, and I'm using my Score Buddy to help me align each square so that I get precise placement. I do this for all 5 squares. Instead of stacking the cardstock like I'm doing here, you could also use some smooth chipboard instead. I have lots of cardstock on hand, so I decided to use what I had in my stash. The result is a really thick panel, which is exactly what we need for this technique. Now I'm adding a 3-inch square of the masking material to the top of my stacked square. Again, I use my Score Buddy to help with the alignment. I'm positioning the Magical Mandala die on top of the side of the square with the masking material, and I'll run it through my die cutting machine off camera. Because of the thickness of the panel, you'll need to do some research on the plate formula for your die cutting machine. I used my Gemini Junior and only used the 2 clear cutting plates and the magnetic sheet, and it came out perfectly. Basically, you only want the die to cut through the masking material and emboss the design into the cardstock. I'm using my trusty tweezers to remove the inside spaces of the design. This is a bit tedious, but if you've done it right, the pieces of masking material should slide right out with a little nudge from your tweezers. You'll notice that I only remove the inside portion of the design because I want to add multiple layers of Distress ink. The masking material will protect the outside layers until I'm ready to move on to the next color. I started with picked raspberry, and I'm using a finger dauber to apply the Distress ink onto the cardstock. And now I'm ready to move on to the next layer of the design in a new color. The Magical Mandala die is perfect for this technique because it's a symmetrical design, so it's easy to see which areas I want to remove for the next color, which is mustard seed. I could have wiped off the picked raspberry ink from the masking material before I started applying the mustard seed, but I liked that both colors mixed to create a third color. This design and color scheme reminded me of the beautiful mosaic tiles that we saw in Italy and France, but you could totally pick colors that you like instead. I've removed the third layer of masking material from the design, and now I'm applying some Twisted Citron Distress ink. Once you get the hang of this, you'll see that it's super easy and repetitive, and you can see your vision come together pretty quickly. And it's okay if the colors overlap a bit as you apply each color. I think it adds to the uniqueness of your design. I removed the 4th layer of the masking material with my tweezers, and I'll add some Salty Ocean with my finger dauber. Can you see it coming together now? This technique could be done with any detail die, and it wouldn't have to be centered on the tile if you didn't want it to be. Let your creativity run wild once you get the hang of this technique. We're almost done with our ink application. I removed the final layer of the design from the masking material with my tweezers, and I fill in the remainder of the square with some Blueprint Sketch Distress ink. How fun would it be to create a whole set of cards using this technique? You could change up the color schemes and the designs and box them up to make a lovely gift for someone. And now for the fun part. I'm using my tweezers to remove the remaining outline of the mandala design. It looks like the grout on a tile, right? I just love how this turned out. A few areas of the masking material shifted as I was applying the ink, but those areas are super easy to fix with a white gel pen. And because I don't want the Distress ink to transfer onto my Versamark pad, I'm heat setting it with my heat tool. Next, I'm applying some Versamark ink directly to the tile, pouncing it around to make sure I get a good application of ink all over the tile. Then I'm adding some clear embossing powder, again making sure to cover the entire tile. And then I'll heat set that with my heat tool again. You can repeat this process as many times as you like, but I recommend doing it at least 3 times. The more times you apply the ink and embossing powder, the more real your ceramic tile looks. You'll also see that I'm heat embossing the tile inside the lid of a box I had in my craft room. It's easier to do it this way so that your fingerprints don't interfere with the clear embossing. That sucker gets hot. Ask me how I know. Now I'm scoring a 4 1/4 inch by 11 inch smooth white card base at 5 1/2 inches, and I'll fold it in half and perfect the crease with my Teflon bone folder. Off camera, I die cut a 4 1/4 inch by 5 1/2 inch panel of smooth white cardstock using the inside and out stitched square dynamics and the A2 rectangle stacks dynamics. I'm marking the inside of the square aperture with a pencil so that I know where to place the 3 1/2 inch square of daffodil cardstock onto the card base with my tape runner adhesive. And now I'm adding some 1/4 inch foam tape to stabilize the image panel before I adhere it to the card base. I die cut the hello word 3 times from smooth white cardstock and once from black licorice cardstock, and I'm adhering the layers together with my glue pen. I'll add the black layer die cut as the top layer. Now I can adhere the image panel to the card base. You'll notice that I partially peeled back the release paper from the foam tape. This will allow me a little wiggle room while I get the panel centered onto the card base. Once it's positioned properly, I remove the rest of the release paper. And now it's time to adhere our tile to the card base. I've partially peeled back the release paper from the double-sided adhesive sheet, and I'll make sure it's positioned right where I want it before I remove the rest of the release paper. Lastly, I'm adhering the stacked word die cut to the bottom portion of the card base using some multi-medium matte liquid adhesive. I like this particular liquid adhesive because it's strong and it dries clear. And we're done! Thanks so much for watching my video today. I hope you enjoyed it and that you'll give this faux ceramic tile technique a try yourself. Be sure and check out the other videos on the MFT YouTube channel for more great content, and have an awesome day.